Mahadev, Mahadev, Mahadev. Is the audio okay?
Mahadev Swamiji. It is okay, Swamiji.
Hopefully, all of you have closed your, muted your mics. Please mute your mics. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tamha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya. Om Namo Gurubhya Sarvopaplavarahitah Prajnanah Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Vedantartha vibhasaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohadvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Padavidham Bibhrate Tasmai Bhashyakrite Namostu Satatam Purnabodhatmane. Since there are only two things which constitute every experience: the self, which at this point is cognized as the experiencer, and the world, which is the object of experience, that what is experienced. The question is, out of these two, which exactly is the locus of dukkham? Is the dukkha the nature of anatma, or is the dukkham the nature of atma? Atma meaning the self, and anatma meaning that what is not the self. And by the word self, we do not mean the Freudian self. Though this is what we can begin with, the self as the experiencer, as the knower, and the world which is experienced. We can begin from there and then refine our understanding. The refinement will continue till it becomes irreplaceable, irrefutable. The process of refinement is not the final product. So in order to refine, we will have to begin somewhere, and we will have to begin only from the place where one is standing. So one's knowledge about oneself as this body-mind complex, and as the body-mind complex, I happen to cognize myself as the doer, the experiencer, the one who does the actions, and the one, therefore, who is experiencing the consequences of those actions. So the word I for the person now means this small little entity, the doer, the experiencer. And therefore, by the virtue that I am an experiencer, I am experiencing joys and sorrows. And in order to enhance my joy, I do something. I do something. And if that action is a right action, it will enhance the joy. And if the action happens to be a wrong action, it will bring distress, misery as its consequence. Therefore, now the doer has to be very precautious in choosing his actions. So I am a doer, I am an experiencer. This is my present understanding about myself and also about this world, that there are two steps over here, that this world has got sukham or dukkham to give me. If I am able to knock at the right door, I will be able to get sukham. And if I happen to knock the wrong door, then I am bound to experience dukkham. Therefore, for me now it appears as if this world is somewhere from where I have to derive my joy, or I happen to get the misery. And with this, I continue to live without questioning. And though I may be able, so I have my own concepts. When I will be able to get plenty of money, more sense appeasement, more ego appeasement, I will be able to become happy. So happiness, the joy, is something which has to be imported from outside. And I am someone who is importing it, bringing it inside. This is what I think about myself. And in spite of this, no matter how much I may be able to become successful, in spite of all this, my happiness always remains contaminated. There is always something of the other which spoils my happiness. or rather the misery doesn't seem to leave me. It just simply follows me like a shadow. And therefore, when now I have found that nothing of this world or nothing in the world outside the world hereafter will also be able to remove the misery completely, then naturally the person has a question that is there any way out of this or not? Or am I simply supposed to be tossing myself from less misery to more misery to less, again to less misery to more misery? And therefore, my choice simply is between two things where there is less misery and more misery. Because even those experiences of joy are nothing but just little less misery. Therefore, is there any freedom or is there no freedom at all? Am I going to be just tossed like this, shuttled like this? And when the person starts thinking, now he finds that he is blocked from all the sides. Thus he finds himself just suffocated with this world, or even the solutions of going to the heavenly world, celestial worlds, and experiencing the celestial objects and nymphs. Nothing is really going to give me the freedom. Now this person, when in distress, then goes to the teacher and says, "Hey Bhagavan, oh Lord, please show me a way out of this. Because I have heard it from the Upanishad somewhere. I remember the Upanishad saying that he who knows what is the nature of Atma becomes free from misery. And therefore kindly enlighten me and set me free from this misery." Now the teacher takes up and then speaks. This exactly has happened. The teacher is not going to speak unless and until one is going to question. If you are very well settled in your own erroneous dreams, in your erroneous misconceptions, why would anybody come to disturb you? The last person would be the teacher. Arjuna has lived with Shri Krishna all his life. And yet, because Arjuna has never questioned this basic premise of life, that I have heard it from the Upanishad, that he who knows the self, he who knows the Atma, becomes free. But here I know myself and yet I am not free. That means there are only two things. Either the Upanishad is wrong or my knowledge of the self is wrong. There are only two things. There is no third option available over here. The statement of Upanishad is Tarati Shokam Atmavid. The one who knows the Atma goes beyond all sorrow, all misery, all sadness. Goes beyond. This is the statement. For him, there is no place for sorrow, no place for misery at all. And here I am, I know myself. There is no person, not even a mosquito, can say I do not know myself, because I know I am. This is a knowledge which is self-evident. Nobody is required to teach you that you are, I am, is self-evident. Though this is self-evident yet, and I know I am, yet there is a problem, and that problem is the misery does not end. That means either the statement of Upanishad is not correct, or my knowledge about myself is not correct. And if you are going to say that the statement of Upanishad is not correct, then it still is not going to free you from dukkham. Even if you try and speak and try to justify by saying that the statement of Upanishad is not correct. Well, sir, by dismissing that statement, by dismissing the Veda Pramanya, is that going to solve your problem? That does not solve your problem, and therefore saying that the statement of Upanishad is not correct is not at all a solution. And therefore now we come to verify the second thing, which is my knowledge about myself. Knowledge about myself as I am the karta, the bhokta, the doer, the experiencer, the small little entity, this body-mind complex. Not only that, then there is this, the anatma, the understanding about Atma is also wrong. The understanding about the Anatma is also wrong. And therefore, the entire misery is centered only on this misunderstanding. This misunderstanding itself is the cause of misery. Now, he who has appreciated this fact, there will be a transformation in such a person, and that person will stop blaming the world, calling this world as a bad place. The people around you as the cause of misery. No, sir. The misery has got only one place, and that is in this misunderstanding. Misunderstanding takes place only because there is ignorance, because of not knowing, because of agrahanam, there is anyatha grahanam. Pujya Gurudev used to say, because of non-apprehension, there is misapprehension. Because of not knowing the rope, now you are knowing it as snake. But knowing it as snake is not knowledge. Knowing it as snake is erroneous knowledge. And not knowing snake, knowing it as snake is not equal to knowing it as rope. Because knowing the rope as snake is not knowing the rope, and therefore it is ignorance. It is in ignorance there is misery. Therefore, Arjuna, if there is anything which is required on an emergency, is an immediate, we need to address the problem of misery immediately, then that has to be addressing the ignorance. The ignorance now means misunderstanding about the self. What is the nature of the self then? This is the question, and to which Bhagavan Krishna has begun by saying that this Atma is Nitya. Basically, please know that this is Sarve Vayam Atah Param, by saying that Sarve Vayam Ataha Param. Therefore, we are all that Brahman. In that, it means the one who is available in different bodies as different doers and as different jivas is but that one Paramavastu Brahman. So that what is recognized, that what is cognized as jiva, as this limited small little entity, the doer, the experiencer, in reality is Brahman. Is Brahman. And what is this Brahman? That in which this entire world of all the names and forms appears and disappears is Brahman. Kim tat Brahma? Jagat Karanam iti. That in which the world exists, that in which the world continues to exist, and that in which the world disappears again. The world is seen by us, then what is the range of this world? Do not say the world begins from my epidermis onwards and goes into infinity. Well, even this body-mind complex is also part of this world. Do not forget that the world is not something which begins right from the skin and extends into the space, into infinity. Even this body-mind complex is also a part of this world. And by that virtue, what are you? Because you are saying that you are the experiencer, the doer, only by identifying with this body-mind complex. But you are much more than that. In fact, something beyond this body-mind complex. And therefore, the definition of the word self as given by Freudian psychology is not applicable over here. The meaning of the word self is not the ego. The meaning of the word self is not this little entity. Then what is this I? Vayam param vastu. And that parama means that which is supreme. Supreme means that which is not contaminated, refuted, modified, falsified by time, by circumstances, by any condition that on which the time or any other condition does not have any power. Is this Atma. And therefore, the one who is expressing in different bodies as different jivas is in reality this Brahman. Sarve vayamatah param. And therefore, there is not, this Atma, the self, the true nature of this self is cannot be corrupted by time, cannot be destroyed by time. And therefore, to say that the self will die, whether dies in one body or another body, is not true. The bodies, by the very virtue, by its very nature, is something which is constantly, which is subject to a constant change. It is constantly changing. And therefore, O Arjuna, knowing this Atma is Brahman, and knowing the status of the Anatma, as just an appearance in this consciousness, which is the self. Now there is no place for misery to be there. For what would the misery be? For that which is real, the misery cannot be there. And for that what is not real, for that what is an appearance, the misery cannot be there. Therefore, neither this Atma nor in Anatma, the locus of misery cannot be found anywhere, and therefore misery had no other place other than ajnanam, other than ignorance. Therefore, the statement of Upanishad that tarati shokam atmavit, he who knows the self, for him there is no dukkham, no shok or moh. The delusion and the sorrow is not there. For he who knows, then where he who does not know, which means there where there is ignorance, misery is possible. And this is sitting perfectly like a jigsaw puzzle. Where there is no knowledge, where the self is not known, which means only in ignorance. Then when ignorance is the only place where misery is, or misery can be, and misery continues to be. Now for removal of misery, sending your darts anywhere, even if you were to go to the heaven and still be ignorant, misery is bound to follow. Even if you were going to get the highest position of power and wealth, and if there is ignorance, misery will follow. Even if you were going to get all the nymphs of the celestial world to enjoy, yet with ignorance, you still had a reason to be miserable. Misery will follow. And then, on the other hand, even if you did not have even a single penny, or even if you were not going to the heaven, and when the ignorance is not there, misery is not there. Now it is your choice whether to go about hunting for the solution to misery, problem of misery, solution to this problem, hunting in this world in relationships, in men and women, or in wealth and power and position, or to look for it even in the heaven and some celestial world, or to put an end to it by putting an end to the ignorance, is the only choice available. Knowing this, he who becomes lazy and does not exert himself in the right direction, to such a person, the Upanishad says, is a waste of life. He is a kripanaha. A kripana means a miser. He who dies without knowing the self, the Upanishad says, is a miser, sakripanaha. A kripana is a person who has money and yet lives a life of poverty. That money he has, in spite of having the money, he is not able to use it for the right reasons. He who does not know that money has value only because it can be utilized. When money cannot be utilized, it is of zero value. If there is money and if it cannot be utilized, it is of zero value. You may have money, but if you are not going to put it to the use, to any use, it has got no value. It is as good as not having that money. So also, having had this human birth, having had this intelligence, if a person is not able to use it for putting an end to misery, then what was the point of having this life? Even a buffalo which is grazing in some pasture is also as good as a life of a buffalo would be also as good as yours, or a life of a mosquito would be also as good as yours. Even a mosquito is also trying to do the same thing, enhance its joy, and run away from those places where its life is endangered. A mosquito is not going to understand that misery can go and will go where this ignorance ends. Therefore, end of misery is not in time, is not in space. It is not by attaining some spatial state. It simply is an end of ignorance. Therefore, O Arjuna, know this Atma. And Shri Krishna therefore now has begun by saying that this Atma is Nitya and Vibhu. Vibhu means all pervasive. Nitya means that which is not limited by time, and Vibhu means not limited by space. That which is not limited by time, space, or any other condition, and is one. So Nityatvam, Vibhutvam, and Ekatvam, these were the three things which were brought about this self to us. Basically, a person thinks that I am something who is born and will die, and therefore either I have to grieve for my death or for somebody else's death. So therefore there is the Bhranti of Anityatva. There is the Bhranti, the erroneous knowledge of impermanency of the self, Anityatvam. Then about being limited in space, that one day I may not be something which is subject to death because body dies, but I will be going from one body to another body. And if I'm going to go away from one body to another body, that means that I will have to part from the people whom I love. Here is my wife and here is my son. Here is my mother and here is my father and my friends. I love them dearly. But now my death means that I will have to leave and go. Or if my wife, my son, or my friends die, they will leave me and go. So though I am permanent in time, if I am limited in space, it still is the cause of misery. So limitation of any kind, limitation with regards to time, limitation with regard to space, limitation with regards to oneness. Now this is all, or any other attributes. The sense of limitation is misery, alpatva. And therefore, again, we are reminded that that what has been shown by the Upanishad is it remains irrefutable. The Upanishad said, Yadvai alpam tad dukkham. That what is alpam, that what is limited, that what is small is dukkham. Limited in time, which means that one day I will perish, or if the people around me will perish, the ones whom I love will perish. Limitation with space means that if I may not be limited in time, but because I'm limited in space, I am just available in this body. And so I will be leaving this body and going to another body, or most probably to heaven or wherever. Yet, I love my son and I love my wife and my parents, my family and my friends so much that I don't care even if there are nymphs waving at me from the heaven. I still want to be here with these people whom I love. Therefore, now this error is rectified in the earlier two verses, where Bhagavan Shri Krishna has shown Atma is Nityam, Atma is Vibhu, and Atma is one. That one self is in all the bodies, but the expression over there is different everywhere. Puja Gurudev used to say, like electricity is one, but its expression in the refrigerator is different, in the bulb is different, in the fridge it is different, in a radio it is different. One electricity, but expressions are different. So also, due to the conditions of body, mind, which are different, it appears as if the self also is multiple. So there are multiple Atmas. Atma is one. So far, now we have seen three things. One is Nityatvam, the other one is Vibhutvam, and the third one is Ekatvam of Atma. Now, furthermore, he says, Yadyapi Atma Vinasha Nimitto Mohaha Atma Vinasha Nimittaha Mohaha na Sambhavati Nityatma iti Vijanataha Tathapi Shitoshna Sukha Dukha Prapti Nimitto Mohaha Laukikaha Sukha Viyoga Nimitta Dukha Sanyoga Nimitta Cha Shokaha Bhavati. Now, this is the prelude to the next shloka, which is 14. And that why has Shri Krishna even to speak furthermore, which becomes this verse number 14. So here is the background between the lines. Though it is true that the misery is not on account of Atma Vinasha Nimittaha. That is not because Atma will get destroyed or Atma gets destroyed. Atma is indestructible because not conditioned by time. That what is conditioned by time, which means that it is destructible. If something has a, 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 a date of birth, and which means it will also have a date of its expiry, thus limited by time, that what is conditioned by time, that which is limited by time, is something which is destructible. But the self is not limited by time. By the virtue that it is also the illuminator of the of the time. Time is also drishyam, is something that is seen, and therefore the self, the sakshi, is uninfluenced, untouched by the time. So over here, yadyapi atma vinasha nimitto moha na sambhavati, though the delusion on account of taking the Atma to be something that is destructible is not possible, because Atma rules over the time, Param, supreme, and therefore Moha, this delusion is not possible. The dukkham which is caused due to the delusion, due to the wrong understanding that Atma is destructible. So that dukkham is not possible because of this, since this delusion is not there, because nityatma iti vijanataha, because one knows that Atma nitya, Atma is nitya, changeless, permanent, not conditioned by time. Nitya iti vijanataha, tathapi, yet now he has found one little, what do they call, flaw. Though the Atma, that the dukkham is not because Atma is destructible, no, or the Atma can be destroyed. This is not the cause of dukkham. Yet then what is your, how do you justify dukkham? He says, tathapi, yet in spite of it, there are people, right? You know, my problem, no, this is not a problem. You don't know, yet I have a problem, like that. Shitoshna sukha dukkha prapti nimitto moha laukikaha. Now, experiencing the various situations of this world, and he begins with a situation as simple as Shita and Ushna, experiencing the seasons, heat and cold, both the peak of summer and the peak of winter. Consider this too. Okay, Shitoshna sukha dukkhadi nimitta Shitoshna sukha dukkha prapti nimitto moha laukikaha. Experiencing the what do they call, the polarities, heat and cold, or being insulted and being respected, being appreciated and being censured. Now both of these are the polarities, and this experiencing these polarities in the world, there is bound to be dukkham. Nimitto mohaha laukikaha. It is because of this world, is laukikaha. Sukha viyoga nimitta dukkha sanyoga nimittaha cha shokaha. Coming in contact with something which generates sadness and being taken away from something which generates joy. So coming in contact with something that is not conducive and withdrawing the contact from something which is conducive, sukha sanyoga and sukha viyoga and dukkha sanyoga nimittaha cha shokaha. It is still possible. Now the shoka is not because of Atma, misunderstanding the Atma as anityam. He knows Atma is not anityam. Yet there is a reason, even in such person's life, that why he can still be dukhi. Okay, is possible. Now we have to look at a solution for this. Nanu, he further says, Nanu atmanaha nityatve vibhutve cha na vivadamaha. Vivadam. This is the wrongly written. Vivadam. This is wrongly copied here. Yadyapi atma vinashan. Where is that? Now he says, sir, you have said that this Atma is Nitya, Vibhu. About these two things, all pervasive and is permanent, we do not have any objection to these two claims. But at the same time, you have said Atma is one. And here is our objection, that how can Atma be one? Because even these Tarkikas, etc., they accept, Vaisheshikas, Nayayikas, they accept, even the Sankhyas, that even the Mimamsakas, Atma is Vibhu, is pervasive, all pervasive. Though all pervasive is not one, Atma is many, there are many. So multiplicity of Vibhu Atma is accepted by them. So this is the place where we have a disagreement. We do not disagree when you say Atma is Nitya. We do not disagree when you say Atma is Vibhu. But the moment you say Atma is one, what happened? Is there any problem? Are you people able to hear? Somebody please report to me properly.
Yes, Swamiji, we can hear.
Audible.
Because there was some, what do they call, notice over here on my phone. But sound is okay?
All okay, Swamiji.
Yes, Swamiji. All okay, Swamiji.
All right. It is not creating any, glitches in between, right?
No, Swamiji. All okay.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
No, Swamiji.
Here we go. We have no disagreement when you say Atma is Nitya. We have no problems when you say Atma is Vibhu. But the moment you have said Atma is Ek, one, now here is the problem. And so Pratideham ekatvam na sahamahe. We are not able to tolerate this statement of yours that Atma is one in all the bodies. Bodies are many. Therefore, the Atmas are also many. Though many, yet this Atma is Nitya and is Vibhu, but not one. This is what is claimed by the Mimamsakas, Tarkikas, okay, Vaisheshikas. They have to say this. Pratideham ekatvam na sahamahe iti Vaisheshikaha Mimamsakaha vadanti. But sir, what is the reason for them not to accept it? Is it because they simply want to act adamant? Adeltattu? Is it just that they want to, hold on to some opinion? No, they also have their own reasoning. In spite of, then we will be able to show a way out that this reason is incomplete. Okay, to say that Atma is Vibhu but is not one. But as of now, they are going to present you with a reason, and that reason is, sir, this Atma, everybody is experiencing different sukha and dukkha. If you become happy, I do not become happy because of that. Okay, so you are getting married, you may be happy. I am not happy because you are marrying my girlfriend. Then that is my dukkham. Your gain is my loss. Why should I say that? And therefore, what do they say is here. Anyatha sukha dukkhadi sankara prasangat, or else that one person becomes happy, that means everybody should become happy. Or if one person becomes unhappy, then everybody should become unhappy. But this does not happen. The Sukha Dukkha Sankara is not taking place. You are happy because of your reasons. I am dukkhi because of my reasons. And my dukkha does not make you dukkhi. Or your reasons for being sukhi does not make me sukhi. Okay. And that proves that Atma is many, though Nitya and Vibhu, but is the Atmas are many, multiplicity of Atma, as many bodies, so many Atmas. In fact, the Atmas will be many, waiting for appropriate bodies. Okay. Some of them are still in a queue to find a proper body. They're waiting somewhere. Okay. Sukha dukkhadi sankara prasangat. Anyatha sukha dukkhadi sankara prasangat. Otherwise, we will have this problem that one person becomes happy, the whole world should become happy. If one person becomes unhappy, the whole world should become unhappy, because Atma is one. So therefore, the one who becomes Sukhi and Dukhi is Atma, and these Sukhi and Dukhis are many, therefore Atma is many. So according to these people, Nayayikas, Vaisheshikas, etc., for them Atma is accepted as Nitya, Atma is Vibhu, but they are not able to tolerate when it comes to saying Atma is one. Okay, so there is still some reason for sukha and dukkha. The dukkha will continue. Iti, iti tatha cha mama nityatve. Now, sir, how is all this discussion related to what Arjuna's problem? You philosophizing all this, how does it really is able to analyze Arjuna's problem? Arjuna is saying that he is unhappy because Bhishma is going to die. Arjuna is unhappy because he's saying Drona, his teacher whom he loves very much, his grandfather Bhishma and other people from the family and clan are going to die, and therefore he is unhappy. Now, where is the place for all these things that you have discussed in Arjuna's problem? Let us look for it in Arjuna's problem. That is generic, this is specific. Yeah. Tatha cha mama nityatve vibhutve bhishmadi bhinnasya mama sukha dukkhadi yogitvat Bhishmadi bandhudeha vichede sukhaviyogo dukkha sanyogascha syat iti shokamoho na anuchitau iti Arjuna apiprayam ashankya. Now, hey Krishna, O Lord Krishna, you saying that I am Nitya is all okay. Is okay. Yet, mama nityatve vibhutve, though I may be pervasive, I may be nitya, yet I am other than Bhishma and Drona. Because I am separate from Bhishma and Drona, the death of Bhishma and Drona, the death means them getting separated from the bodies. Now that whosoever was appearing as Bhishma has not died, has not got destroyed, but he is no longer available to me as Bhishma. And therefore, I cannot contact this Bhishma. My grandfather will not be seen, my teacher will not be seen, and therefore Sukha Viyoga and Dukkha Sanyoga will take place. Sukha Viyoga means from conducive circumstances, meeting my grandfather, meeting my beloved teacher, meeting my friends, and meeting my brothers was something very joyful to me, and that will not happen. So Sukha Viyoga, Dukkha Sanyoga, my contact with Dukkha will happen, and losing my contact with Sukham will also happen. Iti, and therefore my becoming dukkhi, my becoming miserable is not improper. Okay, no anuchitao. The shokamoha that I am displaying is not improper. It is justified. Though according to you, I may be nitya, the Atma may be vibhu, yet because I am separate from Bhishma, Drona, etc., what will happen? Bhishmadi bandhudeha vichede, because of them being separated from their bodies, now the people whom I love are no longer available, and therefore me becoming miserable, my becoming miserable is justified. Okay, iti na anuchitao iti Arjuna bhiprayam ashankya. Now, as a teacher, the Sri Krishna is already able to gauge what is the problem which is coming into the student's mind, and therefore now Sri Krishna, in order to enlighten him further, about Linga Sharira Vivekaya Aha. Now Bhagavan Shri Krishna speaks further. How does he say? Let us chant this shloka and we will need to understand this in our next class. Matra sparshastu kaunteya, matra sparshastu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkadaha, shitoshna sukha dukkadaha, agamapayino nityaha, agamapayino nityaha, तान् स्थितिक्षस्व भारत, तान् स्थितिक्षस्व भारत. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Thank you all. Thank you.